All right, so this is my one red day to make note of. This one I definitely traded very, I guess, stupidly, if you want to call it. So I believe my thinking here was that IWM was trending up for the most part. We're making higher highs, higher lows, and we're here at this previous day high level. And I don't think this first trade was dumb because it was a previous day high break and retest to me in my eyes. So I wanted to try this long. So I think the candle to make note of would have been this one right here. I'm not too sure, but I do know that the first few trades, I took more than one. The first few trades did definitely go against me. So I have here queued up IWM 242 calls ready to go long. And to me, like this candle right here is definitely promising. So I go in long right there at this candle when it starts to push up. Another thing too is I probably, there's no probably, I didn't wait for this candle to close. Jumping into the middle of a candle like that has definitely bitten me before. So this one, I for some reason I was just anxious to trade today on this day, and it definitely didn't work out in my favor. Definitely went against me, and it hurt a little bit, really. So here we see that the trade's pretty much going against me. This candle looks like it's pushing to the downside. I think my other indication to get out of that trade would have been this candle right here, rejecting that 13 EMA that I've traded before short, but instead I'm staying into a long position longer than I should have. About there, I cut my loss. That was probably about 20% down, which is fine. That's to me, that's just good risk management. And then here, that's definitely the stupid trade I take right there is where I automatically just assume that, oh, because it's breaking down below the 13 EMA, that it's going short. To me, that was more of a revenge trade that should never have taken place. So we can see here, I go in short five puts. About here, right there is where I get out of the trade, realizing that it closes back above previous day high with a really large bar, and then that close above the 13 EMA. Not to say that that means it's going to reverse and push to the upside, but I was definitely way past my stop loss, so I went ahead and cut that trade also for a loss. So then at the same time, I'm taking a look at QQQ on the other side. At this point, I have not walked away from the computer, which is what I probably should have done, but I just couldn't let it go, knowing that there was a potential setup to be had somewhere in here. At this point, to me, after I looked at it, the market really wasn't trending. It was more consolidating. So I felt like there was definitely a breakout to be had. There was definitely a move to be had. Just had to be patient and wait for it to play out, really. So those first two trades, like I said, the first trade I really wasn't too upset about because it was a previous day retest to me in my eyes, and we can kind of see here that it kind of did retest and eventually push to the upside a little bit. It just dipped below the previous day high zone or area right here, and then eventually reclaimed it. So that wasn't a wrong decision. Just maybe the entry. It just that's the one trade that just happened to go against you. You know, it stopped you out, and you got to move on to the next one. So we can see here that IWM was eventually pushing to the upside. I don't remember how far this went, or if it even went any further than this point. So on to my third trade for the day. I have here what looked to be a bit of a bull flag. I've noticed this a couple of times too, and I don't think I think it's just happens to be trending downward. Because I feel like on the 2 minute chart, which is on one of the lower time frames, that there wasn't enough of a push to the upside with the pullback to properly set up a bull flag. I might have said bear flag, I don't remember. Bull flag. Like you only have two candles that represent the move to the upside, and then you have this downward channel. It looked promising because it happened to break above a previous price level. I forget where this level was that I drew up. But like I said, we have this bit of a channel here, and it's closing above that level as well as the 13 EMA. So I take QQQ long 5 contracts as well at that point in time. You can see here, or from what I start to gather, is that QQQ does look weak. You have these three candles right here in sequence that have these upper wicks that are getting longer. Me, that shows a lot of selling pressure. So I get out of my contracts right there for another loss. Third loss for the day. The first trade and this right here being the third trade of the day, I really, like I said, I can't be upset about because to me the setup looked kind of ideal. Like I said, maybe the bull flag, bear flag, I have to maybe let them run longer to kind of set up, like I said, a more confirming bull or bear flag. So this one definitely went against me. Like I said, just gonna have to try. That's how I'm gonna learn. So, and not to my surprise at all, that is not the last trade of the day. Last trade of the day is actually just a little later. So I eventually switch over to Spy, and this is what I'm presented with once, I kind of flipping back and forth on different charts just to kind of see, like I mentioned earlier in one of my other videos, I'm starting to look at other charts because there's definitely going to be setups on other charts instead of just focusing on one and two and missing out on those potential setups. So I'm trying to diversify and look at other charts as well throughout the trading day. So what I notice on SPY here is you see me flip flopping back and forth to the different time frames just to get a different look on things. I see this to be a really good bear flag. Like I was talking about earlier on QQQ, where it looked like it didn't have much of a move to the upside, not as great as it should have been. This SPY definitely had a longer move to the downside, as well as rejecting this previous level right here and the 13 EMA at the same time. So you almost could, if I had seen this, I mean, there would have been a chance maybe I would have taken this because we see that it rejected here earlier, retest, pushed back to the upside, only to reject, fail, retest this level, and then push down. What we have here is a pretty good down move with a pretty good channel to the upside, indicating a pretty good bear flag. So at this point, I'm setting up for a SPY short position, just kind of waiting my turn, being patient at this point in time because of the three trades that did go against me earlier. And another thing too, you see me pulling up the squeeze chart right there. It is in a squeeze. So that's kind of squeezes to me are a gamble because they can easily go against you. And at that point in time, once it squeezes, it could be a very quick and fast move in the opposite direction, or it could be in your favor. So that's something else too. I'm kind of making note of. But so at this point, I'm just being patient. I have five spy put contracts, 664 strike queued up, and just patiently waiting at this point in time. Like I said, really like the setup, and I firmly believe at this point that it is going to go downward. So like I said, I have put contracts queued up. You see me pulling up the ES S&P 500, comparing the two charts, SPY and the future. So everything looks kind of good. It looks, we pushed above the previous day high only to fail below it. So now at this point in time, especially too with S&P 500, is at the previous day high zone. It looks to me that's another level of confirmation. So you can see me enter a trade there, and immediately it pushes to the downside just a little bit. So we're gonna sit here. So at this point, I'm just being patient and letting this one play out. This one, I firmly believe in the move to the downside. So at this time, I'm letting this one play out and let it do its thing. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember, but I believe at this point my take profit target would be this pre-market low, this 5 minute zone. So, like I said, we're close enough to that zone that'd be I'm coming kind of aiming for that area to be my take profit area. We can see there that SPY definitely squeezes and starts to push aggressively to the downside. That candle right there kind of concerned me just because of the quick spike in volume. But like I said, I firmly believed in the move to the downside as strongly as it has already pushed to the downside. So I'm letting it play out. This one definitely tested me a little bit because once I saw that strong green candle with the long bottom wick, that indicated to me buyers stepped in kind of heavily. Like I said, it tested me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did think about almost getting out, taking a little bit of profit that I had, but I don't think I was in much of any drawdown, if at all any. Just kind of based on the decent entry that it had. So as long as it was remaining below that 13 EMA and that channel, I was staying in the trade. Like I said, I still believed in the move. I was letting it play out. That one I went ahead and cut my loss probably a little later than I should have. I mean, I did say earlier, and I'm pretty sure I was thinking it on that day, that that pre-market low was my take profit, and I didn't take my profit when it hit that level. But I was kind of thinking that maybe this was just a bit of a fake out, or where this we have this amount of volume coming in, and I don't remember if it actually continued or not after the fact. But I think what may have spooked me was just in general the candle, the forming, the way the candle was forming with the volume coming in, showing me that maybe buyers were starting to step in. So that trade was the best trade for the day. That one definitely covered some of the losses I had from earlier. Still ended the day red. I think it was I was down $65, which is fine, like I said, because it was a lot worse before this trade. This trade, like I said, helped me recover um, about half of that or so. So that was it for this day. Like I said, three bad trades. Well, three trades that went red. Like I said, a couple of them looked, the setups looked decent, so that's why I went ahead and got in them. Um, and then the one good trade that probably was the setup that I should have waited for was this bear flag right here. We can see here after the fact that it did continue further down, which is fine. I went ahead and got out of that one for a profit. So